Hello. We're working on part 2 of problem 6.31 from page 304. We've already done the physical flow, so we know how the metal comes into the cutting department. We know how much went out onto the welding, and we know how much is still sitting on the factory floor being worked in. Now we're going to calculate equivalent unit of production for direct materials and conversion costs. So this is equivalent units are where we're going to take, well, how much is finished and how much did we use on that. So the interesting thing about this is we want to know direct materials. Well, for direct materials, they tell us back here, all direct materials are added at the beginning of the process. So even if it's not a finished product, a finished bicycle frame, all the materials have come in. So whether it's a unit shipped out to the next department or whether it's a unit still sitting on the factory floor being cut, all the materials are there. So the direct materials are in there. What we're probably more concerned with are the conversion costs, right? Because somebody's taking those direct materials, which they have all of them, and working on them, cutting them, doing things so that it's turning into the shape of a bicycle frame. All right, so let's look at how we do that and where we get our numbers from. All right, so we're trying to determine equivalent units for direct material and conversion costs. All right, so to do that, we have to know, okay, how many were transferred out and what was in my ending work in process, right? So first of all, direct materials, let's do direct materials first because it's super easy, because the problem tells us all the direct materials comes in up front. So whether it's transferred out or sitting in ending work in process, all the materials are there. So we know from our schedule that we completed and transferred out 121.5. Right? So to calculate the equivalent units, we know we got 121.5, and ending work in process, 13.5. Because I know that, right? I had 13.5. So we know we have 135 total units, or equivalent units, for direct materials. So when I go to cost my direct materials, I can say I need costing for direct materials for 135 units. All right, so that's my direct materials cost will be based on this. Now conversion cost, the work on the factory floor, the labor, right? The applied overhead, stuff like that. That comes into play with equivalent units because that's not complete, right? That's not complete because if you look at the book, it tells us that those 13.5 units sitting in work in process, they're about 25% complete. So some at the very beginning aren't very done, some at the very end are probably almost all the way done, but on average, about 13,500 units on the factory floor are 25% complete. So the conversion cost is going to be based on equivalent units transferred out of 121.5 because we know those ones that got done, all the conversion cost is complete. But what about the ending work in process? Well, we know the ending work in process was 13,500. We know it's 25% complete. So that means equivalent unit-wise, we have completed 3375. All right? So if we're trying to figure out conversion costs for the work in process, we've spent about the equivalent of completing 3375. So 121.5 plus 3375 is 124,875. All right, so in terms of equivalent units completed, when I go to cost out this month's worth of bicycle stuff in the cutting department, I can say, well, I've completed 135,000 units worth of direct material, and I've completed 124,875 units worth of conversion cost. All right, so we're going to need that information when we go on to figure out our unit costs based on the equivalent units. So join me at the next video and we will work on that.